This video covers a couple of simple tasks you can carry out on your Jimny. We're looking at the oil filter, the air filter and checking the spark plugs. First of all, pop the bonnet on the car. You'll notice I'm running the engine to warm the oil through. The oil needs a bit of heat in it in order to flow freely. Place a container or drip tray to collect the oil underneath the car. Switch off the engine and then using a 17mm socket, climb under the car and undo the drain plug on the bottom of the sump. Here you can see a problem that Jimnys suffer from in the picture with rust around the bottom of the sump. This can result in the sump splitting when you undo this bolt, so be very careful when undoing the drain plug. With the oil draining below, you should now reach down the side of the engine and undo the oil filter. Now, as you can see, I'm really lucky here because in fact it's exactly as it should be, which is finger tight. But you may well end up having to use a chain wrench in order to remove the oil filter. This is very messy because residual oil pours out, so make sure you have rags or something underneath the car to collect the oil that drips down onto the drive underneath. For the Jimny in the UK, I'd recommend 5W30 oil. Just the standard Holford stuff will do just fine, and of course an oil filter from the Big Jimny web shop. Next, you have to wet the lip of the oil filter with some engine oil. Just rub some engine oil around with your finger. Now you have to screw on the new oil filter. It has to be done very carefully to make sure that it doesn't get cross-threaded, and again just do it up hand tight. Don't use any tools to tighten the oil filter. Screw it on by hand and then give it a tighten just by hand the last few bits. I tightened it a bit more by hand than is actually shown in the video. Now you need to put the sump plug back in. I used a torque wrench to do this. 50 Newton meters is the setting, which is quite firm. Next, remove the oil filler cap and using a funnel pour in the oil. Keep checking how much is in there, and once you've finished, start the engine, let it run a bit longer to fill up the oil filter and then recheck again. And now on to the air filter. This is held in place by 4 little metal spring clips to each side of the airbox, and you just ping those off with a screwdriver, and that lets you open up the airbox and remove the filter which is just sitting inside. Again, using your nice new air filter purchased from the Big Jimny web shop, simply lay it into the tray, checking the tray has no dust and leaves in the bottom. Close the lid and press the spring clips into place with your fingers. And now a quick check of the spark plugs, or replacement if you do it, using an 8mm socket to remove the 4 bolts that hold the cover in place. Now remove the spark plug cables. I'm only removing one because I'm only going to check one spark plug. If you remove more, you'll need another socket to undo the brackets and the igniter coils to remove those. All of this should be easily achievable by hand once you've undone it. As you can see, my spark plugs are okay. Again, when replacing the spark plugs, put them in very carefully by hand and tighten them up by hand only to make sure they don't cross thread. And finish off with a torque wrench at 25 Newton meters. Replace any spark plug leads you've removed. Make sure the seal is sat inside the cover correctly, and then replace the cover on top of the rocker box and tighten down. I hope that's been of help to you. Look out for more videos in the future.